This was an excellent episode of The Oval, in my opinion. Season 1, episode 16, titled A Dangerous Game. I really love this episode, especially, I'll say particularly, I really love the Kyle, Donald, and Lily love triangle scenes. It's crazy how Donald was really going to keep a straight face and lie to Lily this entire time and really say he wasn't cheating, saying, he wasn't sleeping with anyone else until she whipped out those photos in the previous episode. Was it the previous episode when she showed Donald those naked photos with him and Kyle getting intimate? No, it was the episode before last episode. That's when she showed him the pictures. Or was it the mid season premiere? I don't remember. But yeah, Donald was really going to sit up and lie to Lily until she had concrete proof to prove to him that she knew what was really going on. And now Donald's in a situation where he can't lie anymore because Lily's seen it all. She really has. The beginning of this episode, it's of Lily catching Kyle and Donald kissing. And the way she set it up was just so badass. It really was. She was hiding in, I want to say it was a closet or a room that was in with, it was like she popped out of this door, and it looked like it was either a closet or a room that was connected to Donald's room, and there was just a door there. And she she requested somehow for one of the staff members to bring up a Coca-Cola. When the staff member knocked on the door and interrupted Kyle and Donald, and Kyle, I think it was Kyle that answered the door. Donald was like, "Well, did my wife leave? She's not here anymore." And that's when she opened the door and was like, "No, I'm still here." This is when things get awkward because her and Kyle get back and, start to go back and forth. She ends up slapping Kyle. The whole time, Donald, he wasn't really taken up for Lily. I mean, there was moments when he was like, "No, Kyle, let me handle this." But for the most part, he really didn't do anything. Kyle had her in a chokehold, almost put her to sleep. Lily slapped him, and Donald was more protective of Kyle, it seemed, because when Kyle put her in a chokehold, he didn't say anything. Well, he was like, "Stop, stop." But when Lily slapped Kyle, he was like, "No." There was more passion there to put a stop to it versus when Kyle was attacking Lily. But to be honest, Lily, she should have left when she had the opportunity because it wasn't good for her. When she asked the wrong thing before she left the room, she said one last thing. Who did the president kill? I don't remember her ever having any knowledge of that from the previous episodes. I don't remember. I don't know if she was in the same room with someone, but I guess we can assume. If it's either I'm missing something or we can assume that her hiding out in different rooms or when she was hiding out in that room that was connected to Donald's, that she had been listening in on conversations around the White House and snooping around. So it could be that situation, but that really put her in a bad predicament because now either Donald or Kyle has to handle her, and we'll find out whatever that means next episode. And speaking of next episode, I'm gonna be really upset if Lily is killed off because I really love her character. She's really intelligent and she's willing to stick up for herself if she needs to, and she has this umph to her that I really like, this real sophisticated umph. But bringing the conversation back to this whole confrontation that happened at the beginning, there's just one more thing that I want to touch on. Lily, at the beginning of this conversation that she had with Kyle, it came off like she was still sort of fighting for her marriage in a way. It was like she was confronting the mistress and saying, "This is my husband." And don't get me wrong, there are situations where, like the male is bisexual and he might have a mistress that's either a woman or a man. And to be honest, even though Donald said that he was bisexual at the end of the episode, I don't believe him only because if he was, he would show some type of intimacy towards Lily, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, like something. And he doesn't, he hardly even touches Lily. It's like a, hey, how you doing? Oh, you look nice. That's about it. But I don't remember him ever really showing that much affection to her like he does Kyle. But yeah, it was almost as if Lily was defending her marriage and she was letting Kyle know that Donald was hers. But at this point, Lily, you need to let that go. And Donald needs to let that go too, because he's being extremely selfish to think that Lily should sit up and put up with all of this mess, to feel like she has to sit back and be in a marriage that's not even genuine, just so he can uphold his status within the White House to save his public image. Like, who are you, Donald? What I really liked about Lily this episode is that she really put her foot down. After she left the room with Kyle and Donald, she found Bobby in some motel or hotel that he was in, and she had sex with him. And when she went back to the house, her house, well, bringing it back to that scene with her and Bobby, Bobby was like, it was never part of the plan for me to have sex with you. And she was like, yeah, you lie to me like everyone else. And I was like, oh, Lily. But like, for real, I could see them having, if Lily lives, I could see them having a nice love story, and they would actually be good together. And I find it interesting how when she came back home, Donald, he wanted to get in his feelings when he discovered that she was out having sex with someone, but it was okay for Kyle to kiss all up on him in front of her. So it's okay for you to do it, but it's not okay for her to do it. So I think that's just a control thing right there. I really do. That's just Donald being really controlling. But I tell you one thing, Lily should have really listened to Bobby's advice and allowed him to come back to the house with her, because that would have been an interesting scene right there. Lily shows up with Bobby, and I don't think Donald would have got crazy with Lily if Bobby was there. He would have gotten mad and he would have been furious, but he wouldn't have got crazy with Lily like he did when she was alone. He probably would have called Kyle for backup or the Secret Service. But moving on from the Kyle, Donald, and Lily love triangle, we get to Hunter and Victoria. He's still really upset and traumatized from the death of Denise. He's really wondering if Veronica had anything to do with it, and I feel like he has come to terms and realized that it could be someone else in the White House that has something to do with this, because Victoria is completely oblivious to her death. She's still thinking that she's alive. And when Hunter confronts her, he was like, Victoria. And she was like, bastard. And then he said, I want to speak to you. And then she said, spoken, now leave me alone. And then she looks at him and sees that, it's something serious. And she knows by the look on his face that he's hiding something or he's in some type of trouble. He asks her more questions about Denise, and by her responses, he realizes that Victoria still thinks Denise is alive. But when the news comes on, that's when Victoria she finds out that she's dead. And she also finds out she's a prostitute, but it's not her that's a prostitute. It was her twin sister that was a prostitute and was a part of some child trafficking. So now Victoria, she's more upset about how this could come back on them versus Denise being killed or Hunter being upset about anything. But so she's really upset about what if this comes back to bite them. So she knows now that he's been lying and there is something that he's hiding from her. But she already knew that it was something that he was hiding from her. She just didn't know what it was. She thought that it was just her probably blackmailing him at first, but now she has a better idea of what happened. Speaking of Hunter, he is so neglectful towards his children. He really is. He just puts everything off on Victoria to handle when it comes to their family. And I feel like we're about to start seeing more dynamics between Hunter and Gail and what's the son's name? I forget his Jason. I think his name is Jason. Yeah, we're going to start seeing more dynamics between Hunter and the kids. This will give those characters an opportunity to really take Hunter to task on certain things, because we see in the next episode when Hunter confronts Jason, Hunter, he said something. He was like, "So I can't do that, but you're out screwing all these other women." So we're about to start seeing confrontations between Hunter and his children, which I feel like is well deserved, because he just put everything off on his wife to deal with versus actually taking care of things, because it's not like he's actually busy. We can see like he's a president, but we don't see him actually doing anything in the Oval or going to meetings. It's just an image for him, and he doesn't even want to be a president. He made that known in one of the previous episodes. Okay, so we move on to Barry and Kareem's storyline, and I forget the young black girl's name, the girl that's a nurse. Oh my goodness, I cannot think of her name off the top of my head at all. But she is upset because Barry is arrested. I do not feel bad for Barry, because he needs to learn some self-control. He continues to put himself in these situations. I give it to him. When the series started off and the president's daughter lied on him and said that he raped her, he was innocent in that situation. But he started putting himself in situations after that I felt like could have been prevented. He literally ran his car into Kareem's drugstore, then fought the guy, and then got to tussling, and then they got into a fight. He ends up accidentally shooting his dad. It wouldn't even take time to realize that his dad was hurt when, what's her name? Sharon's her name. And he was literally throwing it, didn't take the time to realize that Sharon was trying to help his dad because he was busy throwing a tantrum. So that's why I don't feel bad for him when he ends up in these positions where he has to go to jail. I feel bad for the people that end up hurt, because now his father is in the hospital because of him throwing a tantrum. Speaking of Sharon and Kareem, that was just nasty. How they were having sex on the countertop like that in the drugstore. And it wasn't in the broad daylight. It was at nighttime, but all the lights were on in the drugstore, and you could see, anybody who was walking outside could see what was going on through the see-through entrance. I'm starting to think that there's a part of Sharon that sort of likes the drama between Kareem and Barry. It might turn her on in a way, because she continues to put herself in situations where there will be conflict aroused because of her doing something with Kareem. Like, it would have been less nasty per se if they were having sex in like the break room or something. But I guess Barry, his character, needed a reason to drive that truck through that front door. In all honesty though, knowing Barry's character, even if they were, Kareem and Sharon, if they were having sex in the break room and Barry came in looking for Sharon and found them in the break room having sex, he's the type that would probably run out screaming and crying, getting in the vehicle, wasting all that energy just to drive his truck into the building, and then get out and start fighting Kareem. Like, all that exerted energy, like, too much. And he had the nerve to sit up and cry when the police officers showed up to arrest him. Like, it's so hard to feel bad for this character. The only time I felt bad for him was when the president's daughter lied on him and said that he raped her. That's the only time. So we get to this scene between Kareem and Sharon, and the officer leaves. He tells Kareem that he's going to have a tow truck come out to get Barry's vehicle out of his shop, out of his drugstore. Sharon and Kareem, they have their little dispute. Sharon is like, "Kareem, don't touch me. You think I wanted him to go to jail?" Kareem, he's trying to calm her down and console her. And Sharon, she isn't having it. She was like, "Don't patronize me." And then Kareem was like, "I can take you home." I can take you home. To be honest, I think it's a good idea for them not to do that, because knowing them, they will go inside that house. They will go inside Barry's house and start having sex. So they do need some time apart. But Kareem, he thinks about it. And he was like, you know what? I actually have to stay here and clean up. So I can't go home, to be honest with you. And she was like, you know what? I should probably stay and help. So they turn around and they enter the store. And yeah, you wanted to go back in the store, Sharon. You really wanted to. I feel like Sharon, she just plays hard to get sometimes. And she sort of loves this whole love triangle that's going on between her, Kareem, and Barry. It's just Barry, he doesn't know how to handle this love triangle situation like a grown adult. He just throws tantrums and put himself in worser situations. So we get to the hospital and Barry's mom is still completely oblivious to what's all going on. She knows that her husband is in the hospital now, but she has no clue that Barry is responsible for shooting his father. So yeah, they get there. She's with Priscilla, and she's really stressed out. She wants information on her husband and son. She's asking the nurse receptionist at the desk, like she needs like what's all going on. Like I need information. I need an update on what's going on with my husband. He was shot. The nurse finally gives her an update on what's all going on with her husband after she provides the nurse receptionist with her ID and insurance card. And she finds out that Barry is not at the hospital because she's asking the nurse, can I also have an update on my son? And she's like, what's the son's name? And she's like, Barry Bartholomew Yodotham Clydesdale. And she was like, I don't think we have anyone here with that name. And that's when she was like, Barry, he's not here. She's like slowly but surely putting two together, but she's still in denial because she's like, Barry was with my husband. My husband got shot. And Barry is not here. So she's still trying to put two and two together. She calls Barry. He doesn't answer. It was when she left a message for Barry. She's like, Barry, call me back. And she finds out later in the episode what all happened, and she can't hear nothing else. So we get to the final scene at Lily and Donald's house. Donald, he's waiting on Lily to come home. He starts talking to Lily when she comes in the house, and she cuts him off and was like, hold that thought, or she says something that was really slick. Donald, he gets upset and feels like he has the nerve to go after her. After everything that happened, he still is not showing any type of consideration for Lily and her feelings. So when they get in the room, their bedroom, Lily, she takes out a suitcase and starts packing, and Donald, he is really trying to convince Lily to stay. Donald, he really isn't concerned about Lily's safety. He's more concerned about his image and status within the White House. She is completely done. She's like, I'm leaving. And he starts saying, I work for some very powerful people. And he continues to say that, but he's not really saying, he says that, but he's not really expounding upon what could happen if she leaves, or he hasn't told her what's going on, so she doesn't care. She's just leaving. And plus, at this point, it's obvious that this isn't going to benefit her. If anything, it benefits Donald, and she's realizing that. So she just doesn't care. Lily starts bad mouthing the first lady and the president. She said, I told that bitch she fired. Oh no, she didn't say that. She said, I told that bitch I quit. And then she starts talking about the president. She said his dumb ass. And that's when Donald, it's too much for his ears to hear. He's like, no, don't talk about them. No. So Donald gets a little honest with Lily and tells her that he is bisexual and that his dealings with Carl started before he met her. And I believe he was being honest when he said that, Kyle was before him, because we did see Kyle kept on trying to, get intimate with Donald, or, just flirt with him here and there and really overstep his boundaries, and Donald was just keeping his distance. So I do feel like there was a sense of loyalty that was there towards Lily. I do feel like Donald actually cares for Lily, but not on a romantic level. At one point, he might have, but at this point, I don't see any type of attraction there that he has for Lily. But I do feel like he does care for her as a person because she really is innocent. She didn't ask to be brought into this world. She didn't know that marrying Donald was going to come with all of this foolishness. He realizes that, so he has his own way of, I guess, him warning her about how he works for powerful people and that she can't just leave is his way of protecting her. So yeah, I do feel like I feel like he has some sort of consideration for her. He just doesn't express it in the best way. But yeah, he comes out to her and says that he is bisexual, and she puts him to the test. She tries to seduce him. I feel like if Donald really wanted to prove himself, unfortunately, this was the time to do it. If you really wanted to keep Lily in the position that she's in and make sure that she stayed, this was your time to do it. But he was probably so shocked that he didn't know what to do, and they haven't done anything in a long time. So he's trying to find emotions that aren't there anymore, or if the emotions were ever there, he has to dig for them. Donald starts getting in his feelings. He's about to cry. He was like, Lily, please don't go to the press. And Lily was like, oh, Donald, I'm gonna sing like a bird. So Lily gets up, she turns around, starts to pack up, and Donald grabs her by the hair. I blink, and all of a sudden they're on the ground on the other side of the bed, and he's choking her. Then the episode goes off. Like I said, I really hope they do not kill off Lily because I really love her character. It could be a situation where she ends up in a coma, or Donald chokes her until she's unconscious and she wakes up and can't remember anything. But I really hope they do not get rid of Lily's character because I really like her character. But yeah, that was it for this episode. This wraps up the review. And if you want to connect with me on other social medias, make sure you check my description box. I have some links included in the description box that will take you to my other social media handles. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. I'll definitely put my link for my Instagram profile in the description box.